Yes, between earthquakes, Trump impeachment trials, Kobe Bryant, and coronavirus, a lot has taken place. Um, yeah. So basically, all these things happening has one thing in common. Have one thing in common, and that is the fact that they're a shock to the system. Especially Kobe's passing away. It was a great shock to the system. Now, anybody that understands magic knows that all magic happens in the nervous system. The nervous system is where life lives. That's where everything lives. That's the kingdom. And there's a constant um, requirement for your nervous system to be responsive to external stimuli. So, right when something is going down, something else pops up. They always, if they're not killing some black person here, some scandalous shit, they jailing like Bill Cosby, throwing him in jail. They're always stimulating your nervous system, especially you black folk. And why is that? Why is that? It's that way because your attention is your talent. In the medieval times, they said the Roman currency was called talents. And also, your skill is called your talent. Now, your skill, which is your mental quality, the quality of your mental application towards work, is also bears the same name as the currency, your money. This basically tells you that your mental aptitude, the energy, the core energy that keeps you mentally alive, is the root of your finances. So basically, where your mind goes and what happens to your mind, where it goes, is going to determine its degree of magnetic power to attract the circumstances that surround wealth. So in this situation, the degree of tension or the lack thereof will determine the ability of your nervous system to attract anything in the first place. So the more tension you have there, the more load you carry and the less power you have. But the less that you have carrying around, then the more able your natural abilities in your nerves are to attract. And a lot of the attraction is happening when you're not even aware. Okay, let me read this shit. It says, I have not, who's this? Ngumezie Chinenye Andra. I've not been planting and I've been beat myself up being reliant. Alright. So basically, yeah. So they want your attention for a reason. And why do they want your attention? Why is it so valuable? Why is it that when one thing goes down, something else pops up? You're always stimulated to look outside. That's because, first of all, your attention is a physical thing. It's just that you can't see it. Magnetic flux can move physical things. Even though you can't see magnetic flux, the power of a magnet, but it can move something heavy. So just because you cannot see it does not mean that it can't affect physical things. Your thoughts when it's redirected into you at a certain degree, can harm your muscles, can cause a degree of tension that could cause your muscles to disintegrate. Your own thoughts carry enough power to cause your muscles to rip apart and to be damaged over time just from thinking. So just imagine the power that your thoughts have to do that on a physical thing like your body, something of a physical nature. Imagine the totality of that. This is why movie theaters is the same thing. Your emotions, your nervous system create these emotions, and they spill out through your pores, and they hit the ether. When they hit the ether, it come out charged based on the type of emotion that you carry. And they actually have a color. Animals could see the color of these emotions coming out your pores, and it also has a smell. And there are higher beings. There are beings that thrive on these emanations that come out of human body. And we know that these emanations are real because when people move out of a house, when they've been living in a house for a long time, everything is okay, even if they don't clean that house. But if they move out of that house and they clean it perfectly well, but they move out that house and nobody stays there for 6 months, the things in that house will start to disintegrate. This means that the emanation, the ionic emanations from your body, the electromagnetic emanations from your body, has physical impact on your surroundings. So we're talking of degrees of energy now that's imperceptible, but still is valuable. Remember, in spirituality, the less is more. You gotta remember that in spirituality, the less is more. So in spirituality, you're always going towards the finer particle. You're reducing things to the finest element all the time. You're going to the deeper element. So the deeper you go, the smaller it gets and the finer it gets. The finer it gets, the more powerful it is. So I give you an example. It's like a atom and a chemical. So you have a bunch of atoms that make up a chemical, and you use the chemical to make a bomb, and it'll probably blow up half a city block. But if you take a drop of that chemical and you go inside and get the atom, one atom, and you split that atom, it'll blow up a whole city. And that's just one atom in the chemical. But when you get a bunch of atoms and you turn it into a liquid, which is a chemical, they lose their power. So the deeper you go, if you crack the atom, the force could devastate a whole country. That's a nuclear bomb. So you are walking nuclear bomb. Everything has nuclear power because it is atomic, right? So these emotions and thoughts are harvested at a Saturnalian season. So, just not to go too deep into it, a lot of people should understand that everything is a game and people should not take these things too serious. And the only thing that you should be concerned about is where your attention goes, because your attention is your money. That's your talent. Your attention is your talent. And you have to regulate your attention as much as possible. It's like a wild donkey that you have to control by force. It's not pleasurable. It's not a pleasurable thing. If it's ever easy, then you're already failing. It's supposed to be always a little difficult. That's how you know you're growing. That's how you know growth. Okay, so when you get to the point where it's not difficult anymore, you've stopped growing, you're dead. Let me see if there's any questions here. Alright, let me see. I just had this convo with my older children. The CC Majestic, always looking outside of self. That's true. They count for something. Yeah. Hence why your attention is priceless. Exactly. I got a bunch of people watching. Mindfulness, CC Majestic, exactly. You have to be mindful. And mindfulness is a conscious thing. You can't be mindful and be subconscious. That means it's a conscious effort. It takes effort to be mindful. You can't be mindful and be thinking of somebody else, somebody cheated on you, or somebody that, your baby mom or your baby dad or whatever problem people have. Your mindfulness is on your degree of relaxation on specific muscles in your body and the effects that they have on your mind when you release the tension in these muscles. That's what the angel touching the thigh of Jacob means. It's a very occult principle that is rooted in physiology. The specific, that's where the whole, acupuncture comes from. The release of energy. But the energy they're releasing is tension, is your own grip on your own self, which you don't know you have. So until you consciously become mindful and focus on a lot of these areas and train yourself to be within yourself at all times, then your mind will sway, your mind will stray. And the moment your mind strays, then you've lost control of your central nervous system. Somebody has hacked your computer. A lot of you watch The Matrix, where when the Smith guys, whenever they're not around but they need to get somewhere fast, somebody around, an innocent bystander around, turns into a Smith, and all of a sudden they start fighting the Neo. Well, basically this a occult way of saying that their nervous system has been hijacked. There's no difference than a bunch of Christians that were told at church to go burn down a native building. They're like zombies. At the moment they're told to go, if you could tell them to go kill, and they'll go kill. Because whenever you mix religion or the soul with politics, that's what you get. So at this present point in time, it's much more advisable to really not watch TV, but to focus inward, and to teach your children to focus their attention, because that's where their power is. And if you can't even relax at will, then who is controlling you? If you don't have the power to relax at will, you're not under your own control. Would you say that too much attention was given to Kobe Bryant's death? Yes, I actually believe so. But there's something I want to tell people. A while back, Trump said something about the Space Force, and, a lot of people kind of misunderstood what he was saying. I'm neither here nor there with Trump. I think he's doing what he's got to do. But listen up. This is not an emotional political thing. It's very deep, and it goes deeper. It's not for the mundane spirit and mind. The concepts that we're dealing with here are very transcendent, and a lot of people will not understand it, and that's fine. But we're dealing with dimensional manipulation. A lot of people have heard about CERN, CERN, and the particle collider, and how they're opening wormholes, and the Mandela effect, and how certain things are not the way we used to remember them. Honestly, I believe, and I know, because I used to watch them shits, I know that Kennedy's vehicle had only 4 people in that bitch. I know that shit because I used to watch that shit as a kid. Black and white. The shit they got now got 6 people in there. It's longer. If you go to the museum in Dallas, it still has the original 4-seater in the museum. Now that is something that is mind-boggling. So you see, you begin to understand that the world you see outside of you is inside your nervous system, and it can be changed while you sleep. You can go to sleep in one world and wake up in another world, and you won't even know, just because it looks the same. So in that world you woke up, Kobe died. So there's people tweaking worlds. There's people traveling in dimensions. As a lot of people know, Trump's uncle was the one that inherited Nikola Tesla's documents, especially for time travel. Trump's uncle was the head of the, I think, Department of Alien Affairs. Trump's dad's brother. So when Nikola Tesla died, they gave all his documents to Trump. And Tesla was already time traveling. So if you notice, Trump sits down and does a particular symbol with his hands. And Haile Selassie does the same symbol. People think it's trivial. You know, a lot of people don't really think. I've come to understand that. People are okay with not thinking. The moment you get them to think for too long, they get really uncomfortable and aggressive. It's like, nah, let me just go back to my dumb shit. That's okay. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. Some people will go back to being animals and worms, some souls, when they click the reset button in this realm. Everything will reset. They will open their eyes and they will be fishes and worms and shit. And some souls would have crossed over to the realm and be gods. It happens all the time. When evolution happens and some fish grow legs and walk out the ocean, it's not all the fish that go out the ocean. It's some of the fish. The reason is because those are the fish that wanted it the most to get the fuck out that ocean. Their soul screamed it. They hated that ocean. They felt it. Their central nervous system and the feeling that they were carrying sent the signal. So the universe responded by giving them evolutionary changes to make them walk out the ocean and grow feet. And they eventually became land animals. The same thing happens for souls. Souls age. Souls evolve. Souls leave worlds. That's the meaning of Exodus. Hold on, what's this? It says, Ozioma or Dinani. It says, when we focus on attention inwards, what precisely should we be looking out for? Is it same thing as thinking nothing? That's a good question. When you focus your attention inwards, you're not really doing a mental thing now. You're focusing your attention on your physical body and how you feel in your physical body. So you're sitting down and you're being very relaxed, but your attention is on your physical body. So when you put your mind in your physical body now, you begin to notice that there are certain areas that is tight. The reason they're tight is because you are holding on to them. And some of these muscles you've held on since you was a child. This is why people age faster now, because the tension is higher. If you release half of this tension, your youth will return so fast that it will amaze you. Okay, so the average human carries an enormous amount of tension in their body all the time. And this is what causes all the diseases that come with age. All of it starts with tension, nervous tension. A lot of the nervous tension is by the mind tightening the muscles and holding on to them at a less than noticeable level for a long time, till the muscle becomes inflamed and the entire organism is healing itself while it's trying to live. because the person is holding on to the muscles. This is the meaning of when the whole thing about Christ, when he said, when you lose yourself, you will find yourself. But when you hold on to yourself, you will lose your life. If you want your life, you lose it. Your life is your body, your physical body. So the meaning of the snake, the Uraeus snake, when you see the snake curled up and standing erect, the cobra, they're not talking about snakes. It's a symbol for the state that you have to be in to realize a certain mental thing. There's something that's supposed to happen to your mind when you relax a certain combination of muscles. It's supposed to do something to your brain, and you will feel it the moment you do it. So this is an occult principle. They leave certain hints in different areas, like Jacob and the angel touching his thigh, the Uraeus cobra standing erect, and all that. So the energy that you hold on to in the lower part of your body, when you release it, it goes up into your brain. When it gets to your brain, first of all, the first thing you notice is that your breathing immediately improves. When you untighten a certain muscle, you just breathe better. Your blood pressure drops like a good 20 points. Okay? So you find out that your organs are functioning less than normal because of the tension that you carry, that you don't notice that you carry. All right? How many people in here? It's 10 people. That's good. So this is why all these things are happening on TV and all your movies are violent, and you rarely have pleasure in your societies. Everything tends to have a little violence to entertain you. If some of you were to go through the things that entertained you, how would you feel? Some of the things you watch on TV for your entertainment, if you were to go through it, would you be so entertained? But this is what we watch as entertainment. And while we do that, have you ever watched somebody when they watch a movie, how their muscles jerk and relax? All that is energy going in you and staying in you. Yes, you don't release it. It stays in you. Grief stays in your muscles. Every thought, every memory that you've ever had stays in your muscles somewhere as tension. At certain depths of meditation, when you release a certain group of muscles, it almost feels like an air bubble is inside your body has been released. And also you will remember something that you completely forgot before while you release that muscle. And you come to understand that all your thoughts are in your body. That your body is actually your mind that you can see. Your body is your mind that you can see. Your body is an extension of your mind. So anything that you want to do to your mind, do it to your body. And it will get to your mind. But you cannot get to the mind without the body. That's why he said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. Nobody gets to the what? To heaven without. That's the body. That's Heru. That's Iru, the front. In Igbo is Iru, the front. In the white people call it Heru, which is Egyptology way. But the original way is Iru, which is the front side of things. And you can't get to the inner without going through the front, which is your body. All right? So it's a simple concept, which people have come to, confused with religion, but just simple. You start with the body to get to the mind. So if you want your mind to relax, you have to first relax your body. To the degree that your body relaxes, it is to that degree that your mind will relax. So who are we fooling? Who are we deceiving when all these mystics are telling you to imagine blackness and fade into your mind? They never tell you about your body. Okay? So let's get back to topic. So now we have these earthquakes. It's popping up and shit, you know. And as many of you know, there's also a war going on now. As a matter of fact, there's a full-scale war going on right now. Iran on one end with China and Russia and the US on the other end. The lines are drawn, bombs have been dropped, and nobody knows if these earthquakes are just earthquakes or just some kind of energy weapons. There's strange lights in the sky before the earthquakes. You know, there's been pictures. I've seen some pictures of it. So this is a very precarious time. 2020. This is the beginning of the decade. As many of you know, there's going to be another major solar eclipse. I think next year or year after that. I'm not sure. But it's within the vicinity. And that's when things will really change. I try to tell people on my page as much as I can. But honestly, I know that it's a waste of time because people are at a state right now that only physical occurrences, unfortunately, can change them. Only suffering, grief, bloodshed can stop them to think about what they're doing. You know, there's nothing anybody can say now that can change people from what they've been taught, unfortunately. You can't even get people to leave the TV alone. You know, they have to be stimulated constantly, externally, and eventually they become insane without knowing it. You know. So, this is the world that we woke up to with all these things happening. But it's simple once you understand that there's nothing going on outside of you that is worth tension in your body. The tension in your body is your fault at all times. It doesn't matter what happens outside of you. There is no physical wire that's making your body shocked or scared. It's you doing it based on your perception of what's going on. So this is where you have to train your donkey to ride it into the city. You know, there's different symbols for representing your mental mind and your body connection, which is your nerves. You know, you have Mary stepping on a snake, which is your mind controlling your nerves. You know, you have the Christ pointing at his heart, but his heart is on fire. And he's wearing a blue and a red garment. This is also your heart, because your heart is the gate of your central nervous system. Your heart is the gate of your central nervous system. You see? So eventually when you get to your heart, that's when you meet the devil. When you get to the gates of the heart, that's when you meet Osiris, who is Baal, Lord of the flies, the devil. So when you meet the devil at the gate of your heart, the devil is going to test you. Okay, so is a ritual of choice. Choice comes into play here. There's always choice before any great thing happens. There's always a choosing between two things. This is what the devil or the crossroads mean. You know, in Igbo they call it ekwensu. Ekwensu. Nsu or osu. You know, is another way of saying the action of dark matter. You know, action, nsu. Nsu is action. When you say Osulin, that means it started, the action has popped off. So Ekwensu in Yoruba is Eshu. Eshu. It's the devil. So Christ had to go in the wilderness and meet the devil, and he was tempted, and he passed the temptation of the devil. After he passed, then the angels came to meet him. The wilderness is your central nervous system. That's why it's called the wilderness. You know why it's called the wilderness? Because the only person there is you. You're the only person that lives there. Nobody can come in there. Your sisters, brothers, nobody's just you in there. That's it. Nothing else is in there but you. Your mind, your echo, your voice, whatever spirits you got in you, your nerves, your mind is just you. So in spiritual terms, they call it the wilderness. When you go into deep meditation, you're going into the wilderness. Okay? So he went into the wilderness and he defeated the devil. He had to make a choice between letting his mind be controlled by the outside world or allowing himself to have full control of his mind. You have to make that choice at some point in your life. You have to make the choice whether you allow people's praises and insults to affect you, or you're completely indifferent to what people do and do your thing. So those that have not chosen are the people that you see that get angry all the time. Every little thing they get mad. They don't have self-control. Anywhere the wind blows, they go. If somebody makes them happy, they're happy. 5 minutes later, the person make them sad, they're sad. They have no control over their own faculties. What's this? It said, thanks. I just sleep. What's this, man? Sleep serves same purpose as focusing in. No, sleep does not serve the same purpose. When you sleep, the same thing does not happen as consciously loosening your muscles. Actually, when you sleep, the opposite happens. If you go into sleep and you go into an environment that's tense, if you dream about a tenseful situation, coupled with your lack of activity at night, your body shrinks. Your muscles shrink when you go to sleep. Okay? When you get up and you start moving and you start getting agile, your muscles loosen up. Your muscles are elastic. All right? So when you wake up, your morning meditation is actually your most important meditation, because that's what's going to loosen up your nerves enough to have control to deal with the day. That's your most important meditation. So your most important deal is to get up early enough, do like 15 minutes where you sit down and you just loosen up. Get into yourself, get into the muscles, and let go of them. And hold it like that. And when you do this, you notice that when you walk around during the day, your body starts doing it for you after a while. And you start feeling better and better. All your diseases that you thought you have start vanishing. Blood pressure start vanishing. I've healed blood pressure with this shit. Okay? So it's not no bullshit. This is the shit that they hide from you. Seven giving it to you. Free, nigga. Free. Okay? So as y'all know, we doing the seven and everything, it's taking a while to put together, but it will be put together where you could get on the Patreon and really get some really exclusive deals, because a lot of people need spiritual release and they need the formulas. And there's been a lot of people in my inbox that have all these questions. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to deal with everybody. However, if it means that much to you and you're able to expend your resource, and make it worth my while, then I will sit down with you. And we'll go through the issues, and it will be better. So that's how it's going to be. So let me see what's going on. I'm not, like I said, it all boils down to that thing that's called your nervous system. That's where all the war is going on. That's what they're fighting for. Your attention. You know? Now, finally, I'm just going to look at this word called attention. So your attention is where your mind goes. But in that word is attention. Attention. So there's a tension there. You're tense with attention. Whenever attention happens, there's tension going on already. Now, your attention lives in a place in your body where it could give you hypertension, it could give you diabetes, it could make your heart beat fast, it could affect your body in different ways. So your attention carries electrical impulse. It works with electricity, right? So that's why they call it a high tension wire. You ever wondered, like the big ass wires, electric wires, you know, the real big one that carry the high voltage, they call them a high tension wire. Okay, so that's the occult origin of the proposition. Okay, it's all based on principles of electricity and mentality. The mind, the psychoanalytical part of the human being is at first electric. So anywhere you see electricity in nature, there's intelligence there. Electricity and intelligence go hand in hand. All right? Anywhere you see electricity, even if it's a flash of lightning, there's intelligence there. You better believe it. Electricity is a vehicle for intelligence. So your attention carries electrical intelligence. Seen? Your attention carries electrical intelligence. This is why electricity is able to do so many functions for you. Regulate your life. Without electricity, we can't live today. But electricity is given to you through a high tension wire. So the electricity in your body should be very sacred to you. You shouldn't donate it randomly. You're giving away your power, your electricity, randomly. Just giving it to people. When you give your attention, you should be able to, at a moment's notice, draw your attention away and put it to somewhere else where you wish, and completely forget where it was, even if it was a person. Even if it was somebody that you loved so sincerely and dearly. If it calls for it, you should be able to employ your Saturnalian spirit and move your attention away and forget. So if you can't forget, you haven't moved. Physically moving is not move. You have to forget it. That's the only way that you can regulate attention, is forgetfulness. Ignorance. That's the only way you could get bliss. You have to be ignorant of your tension. ignorant of your problems, and you get peace. So that's just a little play on the word attention, electricity, and tension, and how it's used. This is it. Is there a way to protect yourself from all of this? This is from Cameron Turner. This is a very good question. Very, very brilliant question. Yes, there's a way to protect yourself. Your blood, your bodily fluids are what carries these ojas or these energies or these spirits. What we call pH, body pH. That's what determines your temperature of your body fluids, the viscosity of your body fluids, how thick they are, how fluid they are, the quality of it, how much oxygen can it hold, right? This in turn determines how much control you have on your body, because these fluids is the interface between your mind and your body. You have to have an interface. So if these fluids have certain compounds that impede the flow of electricity, just like in electrical principles, you have certain materials that stop electrical, they call them resistors, that stop the flow of electricity. What you have is that you begin to have reduced life in the person, because electricity carries a higher energy behind its back, and it's not going to be able to deliver. So now spasms, different reactions start happening. And with the body like that, the mind cannot focus enough internally. So this leaves the nerves wide open for external manipulation. So some of these compounds, a lot of these compounds, unfortunately, are found in dead flesh. The smell that you get after you eat a dead animal is the result of the release of some of these compounds in your system. A lot of them don't leave with the farts and the armpit smells. So a lot of them stay in your blood. Hydrogen sulfide, ammonium bisulfide, sulfur, a type of sulfur that's found in animals. It makes your blood heavy, viscous, unresponsive to electrical impulse. It impedes your mind. It makes you more fierce and aggressive. That's why carnivores behave the way they do, because of what they eat. And herbivores behave the way they do because of what they eat. Everything you eat affects your behavior. So the first shield for your central nervous system is the cleanliness of the fluids in your body. Making sure your fluids don't have certain type of compounds that can release odors. Whenever you start getting odors out of your system, whenever you fart and it smells, farts ain't supposed to smell. If you go on a vegetable diet for 2 weeks, your farts will stop smelling. Your feet start smelling, your armpits start smelling. The moment you eat a piece of fish and some shrimp, give it 3 days, the smell will come out. Because you're dealing with chemicals. It has to come out. It's in the animal and it's dying. That's why the shit smell when it's rotten. You leave it on the table, it smells because there's them compounds in it. So when you put it in your body, you put them compounds in your body. That shit to make the shit stink on the table, you put that shit in your body too. A lot of that shit don't come out with the shit and piss and all that. All right, and these compounds, these chemicals, they do things to tissue. They do things to bones. When they stay in your body, they do things to your pH. So, when you live in an area now where everybody getting, a 12-piece pack of chicken for like $5.99 at a grocery store, and there's barbecue going on, all types of shit and everything, and you release the low frequency shit from the tower, it's gonna hit them people hard and fast. Anything you put in that frequency, they're gonna do, because they have no control already, because they don't have internal control. They've cut off their own internal control because of the chemicals that they ate, and their blood now don't respond to their own internal impulse no more. So this leaves them wide open to external control. That's where the whole zombie apocalypse principle come from. A lot of that shit is nutrition based. So regulate your nutrition very well. Take dewormers. If you eat some seafood, which is as far as I will go, me personally, sparingly, as I get older, it's like once in a very blue moon. If you eat some seafood, a couple of days later, do take a dewormer, because seafood carries a lot of parasites, worms, and you're putting it in your body, and it's going to be in your body. It's going to affect you. It's going to affect how you think. It's going to affect your appetite. A lot of people just have worms. They think they have cancer and shit. They just got like a shitload of parasites. They just need to cleanse up and they'll be okay. Honestly, the body's regulation is actually easy. I think like conventional medicine makes it very complex. Once you understand the modalities, you don't really need to know the complex names and the deeper functionalities. Once you understand how the systems work and how they interact, you could fix it. Better than somebody that went to school and got confused by a whole bunch of names, and they know pharmaceuticals, but they never get to heal nobody, because they don't show them the modalities of operation and the deeper aspects of the system. They only study the applications, but they don't study the background codes. You know what I mean? So your first protection is diet. That's it. Once you get the diet good, a lot of them low vibration frequencies will not affect you. And a good source of these frequencies, let me just tell people, is your electric meter. When they went to digital, if you have that shit at the back of your apartment or close to where you stay, that's not good at all. They release a very, very high level of radiation that could affect you. Also, them towers, they're everywhere. You can't really help that. You know what I mean?